or I need basically an understanding with the viewers at this stage that it's not my purpose here to knock down any higher powers, people in government, people in authority. The power that they have is only based on an allowance from the highest authority, which is God. So government sits in the seat of God, and therefore it does control anarchy and mob rule to a large extent, because that's really what it is when you're running a nation or nations that think under the idea of democracy that they're all going to share sovereignty. God never said he was going to share his sovereignty with the original creation man. He never gave him dominion over himself. That would make no sense. So why would he share that? Therefore, he did give him dominion over the animals, over the plants of the earth, but he never gave him dominion over God or the supreme authority. And therefore, man decided to make his own mock-ups of this over the years. So we know that it's thousands of years of various forms of this, but it's never worked out properly, and man's really made a disaster ruling man. So my position here has nothing to do with making disparaging remarks, though we'll mention the fact that the name Obama in Swahili means surname. Could that be by chance? That's up for you to do your research on. But as a Christian, it's not a concern for how much bad is out there. It's a matter of what I'm doing for good. To do good would be of no concern for any authority of any government. As it was at the time of Jesus, he was doing good, but he had conspirators who said that he wasn't doing good, because they knew that he was bringing solution and remedy, and they didn't want the rest of the people to receive that. So they wanted to paint him as something that he wasn't. So I don't want you to understand as my position as a Christian that I'm here for anything other than peace, because that's all I'm here for. Knowledge is peace when it's in truth. So we're not here to create a direction of energy that's leading to spend our time looking about Twin Tower burnings, who is responsible. That's like me going and finding out how many chemicals have been put in to pollute through private enterprise into the water systems that we draw our water from. Where would I begin?
That's the problem. There is no ending to the endless number of problems that man has created, and there's no remedy to any of them.
So I'm only here trying to bring us comfort through Scripture that lets us know that that's not the position of a Christian to spend his time on that, because that has nothing to do with God's kingdom, which was prayed for, which is still prayed for even within the provincial legislatures or state legislatures of the governments. Therefore, it is something that's needed, and it is on a time clock. It is coming. Whether we want to receive it or not, it is a remedy that is coming for Christian believers, not for those that do not believe. They may try to sweep it under the carpet, not bring attention to it, but that's based on an energy of people that will not believe. And as it was at the time of the days of Noah, so it'll be at the time of the end that is coming, when the second coming of Christ happens, that men will just be asleep, those that do not want to accept peace, love, faith, and charity, the fruits of the Spirit, to help one another. There'll be people that are doing their own selfish gain and want to keep doing that, and the only way they'll stop is to be stopped. So we want to we need to bring ourselves to an understanding that unless we bring our hearts and wipe our slate clean to understand the Scripture, take the time away from our monetary schedule, we will never be able to bring this into our heart. We need to be at rest right now, for God is there for us. Be still and know that I am God, as the Israelites were told when they were going into pagan lands, and God was going to fight their wars, not them. They were to be still and know that he was God. So I want to remove the idea that we're there for any of that negative energy, because I have no interest in whether the United States is running things properly to control a bunch of pagans who do not believe in Jesus. I feel and pray for them as I pray for their leaders, that under that ordained position, until they cross the line and attack Christianity, then that's when God will fight that war, not me. I must remain at peace with those powers, for they hold Christ's peace and trust for me to walk. But if you do not believe and you want to play both sides, that is your choice. But I do not spend my time on these videos talking about conspiracy theories on how Satan's going to take down his own world and have his own followers gain no reward at the end anyways, other than the destruction that he is. So please remove yourself from that thought, because you'll be going down a rabbit hole that will never end if you're looking for all the bad that's going on. We need to be concentrating on what we need to be doing good to help one another about the remedy that is within the Christian name. And so I lead you back to an understanding of the word addition, which should put clarity to the understanding of what your surname really means. So the word addition, at common law, there was no need of addition. At any case, it required only in cases where process of outlawry lies. So maybe someone put a false statement on you. Maybe it was your own parents who allegated or made an accusation that you were going to do the same thing they were, so they were an informant. They put a false title over your head. Boy, that seems very similar to the time of Jesus' execution. Even though he said his kingdom was no part of that world, they still claimed that he was Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, though he never said that he was.
And he wasn't born in Nazareth, he was born in Bethlehem.
And the fact he was noted as the Christ because Pontius Pilate had said, "What do you wish for me to do with this man you call the Christ?" Well, that wasn't over his head upon his execution. So they executed a fiction. And therefore, we're in the same position today. What is the challenge? Are we that name? Are we at occupation? Are we of their jurisdiction? Or are we a peculiar people who are there for something? Because they'll feel you very peculiar to be involved in pure charity, to give of yourself for love, to preach forth the message of which a Christian is, because he professes the teachings of Christ. Therefore, it is the state of someone who professes the teachings of Christ. That is your state. That is your state name, your Christian name. That is the first name stated. That's why it's the first name. It comes in first place. It is the forename. It is the beforehand name. Then you gave them a hand.
And in law, the Christian name is the name.
And the hand leads to arms, of course, and we understand that always what the superior authorities are always doing when people participate under the surname, they're always arresting them, bringing them to rest. And then they hand them a Bible when they put them into the prison, into the box, into the cage. Like a wild animal that has now been caged, who can't be controlled. So what we have further on this word, addition, which will give you an understanding. So it appears you've been labeled an outlaw. But who has the blood upon them? For that false accusation, a child could never defend himself. A child could never speak. Would have no legal ability. But it appears that the name or the title was put over their head. Because it was assumed if your parents were, you would be. The question would be, there's the first alphabet. A bid bond, because it is forbidden to put a Christian name to a surname. Because that's like putting Satan with God. The two do not agree. Whatever is added to a man's name by way of title or description as additions of mystery. Now, mystery meant the art of the teacher. Now, Christ's mystery was love. That's what he taught the apostles. But people couldn't understand it around them, so Jesus spoke in parables. The apostles even asked that. Why is it that the masses, or the people, do not understand what we are saying? Or understand the mystery that you teach? So the master taught love. So it is part of mystery. That's what a surname would be. In addition to the name would be respectively mean a art, a place, just like Joseph of Arimathea, Mary of Magdalene, or degree. Additions of estate are esquire, gentleman, or the like. These titles can be claimed by none and may be assumed by anyone. Just as it was in the Garden of Eden, they were at a position to assume and take on something that wasn't theirs, touch property that did not belong to them, but it was their own consent, their own voluntary consent, that led to their sin and their demise. And we're on the same journey. Our remedy is there because Christ placed his life for us. The Christian name is his intellectual property. It is of the highest source. It is only there as a gift. It is only there based on acceptance. And therefore you walk with that. And that is a peaceful walk. But you cannot walk with peace and walk with war in an occupational name. Something that is part of this world, such as a place, an imagination of an art of knowledge. Whether you put letters beside your name. God, through Christ, did not choose the lettered. He chose those that were not lettered, the foolish of the world. We have to place our minds to understand these things, because if we allow the barriers of what we consider to be intellectual philosophy to lead us down a trail of money, wealth, and occupation, those things are surely easily lost, as we've seen in the last several years, especially with people who've put their faith in wealth and the monetary system. Many people have ended up with nothing. Banks have closed. People who thought that there was insurance on their nest egg woke up in the morning to find out there was no money in there. How were they to live? It's because they put their faith in man, not their faith in God. They were storing up treasures on earth instead of storing up treasures in heaven. People who walk by faith are walking in their Christian name, not in a monetary name, not in a trade name. And a trade name really means traitor in its origin of trade. So are you a trader, a broker, brokering because you can't choose your position, whether you're going to choose good or evil? So you'll play in the middle. You'll be a middleman, a middle class that popped out of the middle of nowhere in the last 100 years. There was no such thing as a middle class. There was the wealthy and the poor. I think people need to wake up. They're in an illusion. They're down a satanic journey where Satan has said, this is your surety name. But you're the only one that backs up his surety. He can't assure it. He has you insure it. When the people who killed Christ are running the insurance program on it. These are evil people doing evil things. The government's in trust. The power is within the courts. The judges still hold the authority of God in there for you doing right. Not because you have a right, it's because you have grace. But if you choose right over grace, claim of right, what right could I claim if I'm a slave of Christ? He purchased me. How could a slave have property? But Satan gives you the idea that you could take over the authority of this slave's surname, of which you're backing up a complete illusion of nothing. There is nothing there. And there certainly will be nothing in the future when the charter to that disappears, which is coming. So we hope this video has brought you enlightenment, especially the last sentence I read you under the definition of addition under Black's Law, which was addition of estate or esquire is one of the terms, along with art, description of your name, occupation, place you were born. That's what her surname represented. Something dealing with man's secular understanding of his imagination of the planet, the world, and he creates an idea on it and then says you're a part of that. That's part of the world. But the last sentence was, these titles can be claimed by none and may be assumed by anyone. And remember, assumption is deceit. We hope this clarifies the value of your surname.